I always wanted to make my very own personalized deck box for my Magic the Gathering commander decks, so I decided to make at least the first one and try it out. So I can't draw for shit in hand, so I modeled up this in Fusion 360. And as you can see here, I created it so we have a flat pattern, so we can see that it's gonna be one big piece of leather we're gonna sew together. This is of course split up multiple times because we're gonna be making the pattern from 3D printed pieces of plastic, I guess you can say. Now we can see it. Timing. And yeah, it's just all the individual pieces we saw from the flattened pattern printed out. I think about 2 millimeters thick, just thick enough so there's a texture, like it's not gonna bend on us, but not so thick that it's like a waste. And yeah, all the leather we're gonna be using is also 2 millimeter vegetable tanned leather, pretty standard. So yeah, and I wanted to make it out of one piece of leather for the challenge because I've seen multiple people making it out of multiple pieces of leather, and I thought, well, shouldn't you be able to make it out of one giant piece? And I know it's gonna look like there's a lot of wasted leather, but I honestly think I have a lot of projects where I can use this, so it's perfectly fine. Of course, the challenge of this is also just to improve my skills when working with leather, so that's also like one of the reasons. And so that's yeah, actually the main reason. The small like bends you see down in the corner there are they're for helping the leather bend around itself, because it needs somewhere for space so the corners can meet up properly. And they should roughly fit with the thickness of leather. There are math to calculate it, but like the rule of thumb I use when working as an engineer is just the thickness of your material plus a little extra is often fine. So that's pretty much what I did here. It doesn't have to be accurate, it just has to be some. You could probably with leather do without, but I think it works out. Now to create the bends, I marked out where the bends would be, and then I just thinned the leather. And I tried to make it nice and smooth, but what's really important here is not going too deep, because you don't want to go through the leather. And it's okay if it's not perfectly straight, as long as it's thick enough so the entire bend is part of this. It doesn't have to be even either, because you're not going to be seeing this, because it's going to be the bottom. And so here we go for the lid, and what I'm not going to be showing here is the like where it's going to bend over itself for the clasp. Now to make it fold up nicely, I basically cut the edges so I can bevel them. I don't know what it's called, but it's basically what I do is just going all the way around all the edges like this, so I can add a beveling. I guess this is the beveling, and then I can, use my I have no idea what it's called, but I think we'll see it in just a second, so then we'll take it. But yeah, I'm just doing it on all edges because it's gonna make it look nicer. It's gonna fold up nicer when you sew them together. And at this point I only had a rough idea what I wanted to do. And yeah, of course we're gonna do both sides because we're gonna make it all nice and neat. I don't think it was necessary, but I could be wrong. I usually am wrong, so that's fine, I think. Maybe. I hope it's fine. Okay. Oh, and yeah, here I messed up and like it slipped because it's not as sharp as I would like it to be, my beveler. And you can see it, but it actually doesn't look too bad. I'm still sad about it, of course, because I didn't want it there, but it's not the end of the world. Like, it never is. Like, this is to train myself. It's mainly meant for just improving and having some fun and seeing, can you make it out of one? And so you can see here, like, just gonna add all the holes in. And at this point here, I did not have a concrete idea for how to sew it. I just knew how I wanted them sewn together, but I hadn't figured out how to do it yet. So we will see me struggling a little bit, and just a nice little close up. But I do figure it out, luckily, else you wouldn't be seeing this video. Now, for the patterns we saw at the beginning here, I'm gonna use my book press to just like emboss the symbols in, which are just, as you can see top there, they're just laser cut pieces of plywood, because it worked basically. And it's just make the leather wet enough and then place the finger on and then put pressure. You don't need a press for it, but I feel like it's easy. Now, to paint it, I use a deglazer slash, it's called something else too, but it's basically removing all the surface fats and stuff like, and oils and stuff. It makes it so the paint sticks better. As you can see, it dries up very quickly because it's basically just an alcohol. It basically is an alcohol rub, but it, like, I don't know if it actually does anything. But this was really the main reason why I wanted to make this one, is because I have these leather paints and I really want to get better at painting. And I thought this were a good way of practicing, since we are going to be doing more Magic the Gathering books I'm currently working on too. So practicing painting magic symbols seemed like a good idea. Like, generally practicing painting is a good idea, but yeah, specifically magic symbols seemed like it makes sense. And so I'm adding a second layer of the blue here just to make it stand out even more. And now we're moving on to the green, and this was the one I was the most worried about, because look at that. Like, it's not the most detailed thing, but when you're not very good at something, it's very daunting. And here you can definitely see the green needs to give multiple layers, because it's like the leather is showing through. And what I think it's kind of funny is, because it's wood I used to press it with and it's just laser cut, so there's no surface treatment, you can actually in the embossing see the like how the wood would look, the plywood surface basically. It's kind of funny. It doesn't really mean anything, because once you paint it up you can't see it, but I still think it's funny. And I guess that's what counts. I wanted the front symbol to be the symbol of Theros, the magic set Theros, because it's gonna be for a Kruphix Guard of the Horizons deck. And it's because it's the very first commander deck I ever got / made. Fun story about that, I had made a deck with a friend and we went to Friday Night Magic and played with some guys, and they just looked at the deck and went, "This is shit." Tore it to pieces, like they didn't break the cards, but basically split my deck up, found their binder of random like below average commander decks, commander cards, and just went ham on it, like just tore the deck up and rebuilt it so it was about the level of a precon, maybe a little bit better. So it's not a very good deck, but it's fun, I like it, and it has sentimental value. Now, we skipped ahead here because I don't think I need to show that I painted the backside, and I added the front of the clasp here. And here we go with the sewing, and the sewing took forever, and we are going to be skipping through it because it's really boring. But basically I did a little cross in the bottom and the top, and then the rest on the inside it looks like normal vertical stitches on each piece of leather, and the front it's the two leather threads like wrapped back and forth holding the leather together, holding it, and it looks really good, and it holds up really well. As you can see there, that's what I'm talking about with it going across holding the leather, and it did get way easier as we got higher up. And I think for future reference, I might start on the top, just so we are gonna be adding the second half of the clasp. And as you can see, I cut the lid because the lid was way too large. So I'm gonna have to redo that part for the pattern, but now I can just measure it here and it works out fine. And really it's just like putting the other part in. I'm gonna make some holes, and then we're just gonna hammer in the pins basically, as you can see here. But I really want to highlight the stitches because the stitches adds a lot of visual effect. The hammering moves the camera, that's kind of funny. No, the stitches add so much depth to the model and I love it. I think it's beautiful and we should see it in just a second. Also, we're going to be testing if it actually fits a commander deck. But look at that, it looks so good. And here's a 3D printed model of the deck box basically, just to test if a deck can fit completely sealed, and it can with extra space, so tokens can be there too. And here we go. Moment of, oh, look at that, looks so good, and just closed. So there we have it. That's my deck box made from one piece of leather. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Do I like it? Yes, I do. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more.